tried to get out, and the time was now.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Sitting Down with Stand-Ups. I am one of your co-hosts, Justin Sakarica. As always, we have the Bean behind the scene, Daryl Bean, working the cameras, doing all of his technological bullshit, which pays off well. Sitting over to my left, I have the very lovely Alana Gonzalez. Alana, how are you?
Great. A little tired, but...
A little tired? Why is that?
I thought it would be an amazing idea to take my 5.5-year-old by myself to the nation's largest indoor water park for 3 days. And I'm a little too old for that shit. And and it's a lot. Have you done the water park thing?
I have, yes. I went to the Kalahari. I've been there a few times. The last time I went there, I had a great time, and then when I got home, I had probably the best night's sleep I've ever had. It wears on you. The older you get, those stairs and the water thrashing you around. Yeah, we're not spring chickens anymore.
And the constant, the addition of the I need to make sure this tiny human doesn't die is a level of stress. Plus, every time you turn around, something else costs money. So I turn into a dad on that trip. Like this was my crossing over moment. Every step it was like, it's $30 for a locker. No bullshit. $16 for a cheeseburger.
Oh yeah, I know. When we got dinner there, I was like, okay, there's a B-Dubs down the street.
Yes.
From now on, we are going there because I'm not paying $13.99 for 4 pieces of ravioli.
It was
I'm a fucking grown man, okay? That's nothing. Yeah, it is definitely an experience. You mentioned trying to keep your child alive.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I had to watch as a good buddy of mine almost died there. Because, and Mario, if you're watching, I'm sorry, pal. My good friend Mario can't swim. He knows he can't swim.
Kalahari is the perfect place for him.
Yes, they literally have one ride there where it says you need to be a strong swimmer. And he said, fuck life, I'm going. And when we got to the top where the lifeguard was there, he asked me if I could swim. I said yes. And he asked my buddy, can you swim? Mario says, I could stay up. And the guy's like, okay, whatever. So I go down. It's like a toilet bowl. It spins you around. You drop down into this raging water. I made it to the side. And his wife was next to me, and she goes, wait, is Mario going down? I was like, yes. She's like, Jay, he can't swim. I said, I know. So he comes, he sinks like a stone. He is attempting to get up out of the water. The lifeguard blows the whistle, nothing. Lifeguard blows the whistle, nothing. Hits this big red button, the entire ride shuts down.
Oh.
Like, Lifeguard jumps in. Other lifeguards come running over. I'm cracking up. His wife is like, I cannot fucking believe this.
We're going to have to pay for a funeral on top of the cheeseburger.
Absolutely. Which a Kalahari funeral would probably be $10,000. They would just
throw him down the lazy river.
Yeah, that would be the best funeral. It's the complete opposite of a Viking funeral. They put you in a casket and send you down the lazy river that spits you out into Lake Erie.
Oh, class. Nothing but class.
Yes, and as soon as the lifeguard grabbed him, he was like, ugh. Then he ticklish him. I've never seen his wife more mortified in my life. I loved it. We still talk about it to this day. I want to go back just so he can go there. And you know it made that lifeguard's day.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's still talking about that.
Absolutely. Like, that's the reason he became a lifeguard. That day, he was like, I don't know if this is for me. I'm just going to go back to school to be a veterinarian. And then, boom, he saves a life.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's just been running in slow motion ever since. Like,
absolutely, yeah. Honey, you're not going to believe it. It finally happened. I got to use the buoy. Yeah, but that was, that's every time I think about Kalahari, I think about my buddy almost dying. What a lovely memory.
It's so surprising to me that more people aren't grossly injured or die at water parks. Like, I realized watching all of these other tiny humans, there is an evolution that happens where my son's 5.5 and he hasn't learned how to swim with his mouth closed yet. And all of these other little kids are doing the same thing. They're just like, like, you're not a fish. Like, stop it. So not only are they choking and potentially going to drown, but then they're just spitting everywhere and... Yeah,
it's just very cute, right? Yeah, just nothing more cute than a kid coming out of a lake or a pool like. Yeah, and
good times.
When you do that in a lake, you know what comes next, right?
Yeah, the strongest smell of chlorine. Do you know why? Do you know that about the chlorine?
Because people are peeing in the pool.
Yeah, because you don't actually smell the chlorine until it's reacting to the bio waste.
I do want to say both times I went to the Kalahari, they had to close the wave pool because somebody's shitting there. Yeah. So I avoided that body of water.
I hope you're watching this on your lunch break. That's all I can hope.
That's what we do. Mm-hmm. That is exactly what we do. Oh man, well that sounds like that was quite the experience for you.
Great times. Great times. This part of the show sponsored by Kalahari.
Yes. Come waste your money. But they do
get shit on the wave pool.
Yes, but they do have good frozen alcoholic drinks there.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Is I realized, it's like there's a time as a single mom, I want to be the cool mom, because I'm competing against dad. Like, I want to have the memories. I think I'm going to wait until my next relationship to really kind of do that. Because it would be so nice to have somebody else carry the bag so I could get a frozen
well, like you said, you were becoming the angry dad.
Yes.
We're not getting a $20 frozen mocha, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, but then to also have to be the mom when the kid's like, oh, honey, no, we're not doing it. It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with that, so I am very
keep it that way.
Yeah,
that's my recommendation to you.
Yeah, well, that's it sounds like your trip was a lot more eventful than mine. I actually went to Tennessee for work, and I really thought it would be more eventful, knowing how all the crazy shit just gets drawn to me. Mm-hmm. The only thing that really surprised me were the amount of Scientologists in Knoxville, Tennessee. That was shocking. Jesus, you need to work on your game, buddy, because Lord Xenu was taking you over.
That is crazy shit going to you. That
is
exactly what you still checked that box.
Like when you go sit down at the hotel bar and you see the Scientology channel on, and then the guy next to you was like, yeah, when I first got into Scientology, it's like, we're gonna...
Wait, did he start that as like a
He tried to, and I was like, no, I am not getting involved in this. Part of me wanted to engage, but then I would have been trapped by Tom Cruise at some point, and I was, I had a long day at work, and I'm like, I just don't want to deal with the crazy shit right now.
You could have met Leah Remini. You missed out Danny Masterson.
Who else is it?
Jason Lee.
Wasn't Chef a Scientologist? Who?
Beck.
Beck is a Scientologist? Yeah. No, not Beck.
Yeah,
I love Beck.
Two turntables, a microphone, and that metal thingy.
Yeah. Well, now he really is a loser. So. And that's why I'm not getting booked more often. shit like that. Those jokes. Yeah, those don't land at all. Right?
Zing.
That's why our viewership is falling. No. But our subscriber count is going up. It's the weirdest thing.
Well, yeah, that's all we care. Just subscribe before you die. You
Absolutely.
Don't have to watch another episode.
Yeah. But again, like I said, Knoxville was a great experience.
That is surprising. This is going to sound completely rude, and I'm going to say it anyway. But I've never heard Scientology in a Southern accent. Like that, it doesn't compute.
Yeah, you think like the LA, like,
Yeah, like it just more of an elitist kind of thing, never get her done.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you right now, man, that Lord Xenu, he is quite the guy, man. When I was out back trying to get my whiskey still going, he flew down in his UFO. It was the damnedest thing. Yeah, it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. No, it's just, I don't know, man. But yeah,
like all right, I said, we're gonna take the show to Knoxville. It's been said.
I'm going back in a week.
All right.
So we will go on the road. Yes.
We'll get our books. We'll get our books lined up. Do you have a spare $12,000 laying around?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Great.
Who does? The Church of Scientology.
Absolutely, yes.
We'll bill it to the show.
Absolutely. So, Well, wow, for once, I don't have a crazy little, like, segue.
I thought you were going to go in on the loser, but...
On the loser?
I appreciate that
Yeah,
you
I
didn't.
mean, see, I would have went in on the loser, but our guest saw me bomb horribly, and he could probably just take that and run with it. So, yeah. Anywho, our first guest of the new year not only is one of the funniest comedians, he's also a dear friend of mine, and he has helped me so much in the comedy game. I mean, this guy has just a wealth of knowledge and so many great stories. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very funny Keith Lenart. Keith, come on in here, buddy.
This is how I know that Keith has dirt on you, because that was the most sincere, nicest welcome I've heard you do. Like, please don't say anything. That's
Oh,
what that
yes.
was.
Well, again, I've talked about it several times, how bad I did at that show in Davison. He was right there. You would have
I was there. Thanks for having me on the show, by the way. It's really
of
nice
course.
to be on the show. I hope I don't get kicked out like I did at Kalahari. I'll tell you. Never poop in the pool there.
Oh, that was you.
Surprised they let you come back the second time.
I couldn't resist.
Oh, man.
And the Southern Jesus was wonderful. I was watching you do your Southern...
Oh, my southern accent right there? Yeah, you know, maybe if I go down to Tennessee, maybe they'll treat me better if I talk like this. You think maybe I could do it the whole podcast?
I like the idea with Remedy and all that. You know,
Oh, yeah, that's
pretty
got a lot of material there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, Keith, it's good to see you, man. You were one of the guys that I always see that is consistently working. Like, you've always got gigs. You're always getting booked. You're one of the few guys who could say comedy is my job. I mean, like, what made you want to get into this crazy life like that?
I was giving it away for free. I was a bit of a whore for comedy, you know? And then I realized, wow, I could get paid to do this. And I thought that was pretty amazing. When they had the boom, I think it was the boom in the 80s, all these clubs were popping up everywhere. And I was like, I want to do that. And finally I'd taken a comedy class, and then I got started doing improv, and it just kept going. Once you start it, it's like, you can't stop. It's like being addicted to a psychotic lover.
Yep. Just keep going back for
No,
more.
it's great. It's the best job in the world.
So I never ask a lady her age, but can I ask how long you've been doing comedy?
Probably about 30 years, approximately.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a while.
Well, it shows. I mean, it shows because I've seen you go on stage several times and just at least an hour every time you're up there, and you just kill it, like rolling off. I mean, and you've probably got more than an hour of material because,
Oh, thank you.
like we were talking about before the show, I've seen you go do a solid hour and 45 minutes, and to be able to do that is so commendable, and I'm so jealous. Like, how do you well, when did you get to the point when you were able to do so much time so comfortably?
I think it just builds up over time. You build up more material. You get more comfortable, and then it just keeps building on itself. Especially if you work on your craft, work on your material. You'll get there. It's just continuing to grow in how much stuff you have.
We'll
Material
see.
Especially.
We'll see. I mean, you know, I might quit and go join the Church of Scientology. So you know, that's always on the radar for me.
That would be wonderful.
Yes,
They'll take all your money and they won't care at all.
absolutely. And then I'll end up locked in a basement somewhere.
But imagine how
wacko.
gorgeous those show posters would be.
Oh my God, they would be
They
amazing.
would put their whole graphics department behind it.
Well, I know what I'm doing when I go back down to
There you
Knoxville.
go.
I've got this.
But it's been a fantastic job. I mean, it's taken me all across the country. I've been overseas for the troops. I don't know if I mentioned that. I did some
Where'd you
shows
go?
at a base outside of Dubai. That was really cool.
Nice.
And then I went to Japan for it. I did shows for the troops over there.
Very cool.
And Japan is amazing. I love Japan. What a wonderful place.
What part?
I was on a couple different bases. First, I went to Okinawa.
Okay.
And we did some shows down there. Of course, I was there during the, what do they call it? Not a tsunami. Like a tornado, hurricane.
Typhoon?
Typhoon, during
Yeah.
the typhoon. So that hurt us a few days. And so we did Okinawa. We went Camp Fuji, which is below Mount Fuji. And there was no snow on Mount Fuji. I was very disappointed. Every picture I've ever seen, there's snow on it.
Beautiful.
Thanks, global warming.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. And then all over the country, of course, you know.
That's great.
And I get to the Bahamas every couple of years. I'll be there in
yeah.
March again, so I'm looking forward to that.
Wow.
They have the water slides there.
Uh-huh.
I call them the free enema wedgie slides.
So I was really excited to talk to you, as I said before, because it's been a long time since I've talked to someone that I have no history with, because this is the first time that Keith and I are meeting for realsies. All I knew about you prior to this show was that you're a comic, that you saw him bomb, and that you hooked up Kate with some sweet New Kids on the Block merch from a garage sale.
Yeah,
which I was very jealous of. I have to admit.
I wish I had more. I could see that you're another New Kids junkie. She's
yeah.
a total addict.
Uh-huh.
And every once in a while, if I find something, garage sale, whatever, I'm like, oh, here's a New Kid thing. And
Yeah.
she's like, ah. I actually was in line at the drugstore getting my drugs or whatever. Prescription.
Yeah.
It's so nice that
Yeah.
you wait in line.
The
That's
girl
so
in front
sweet.
had a jacket on with the New Kids, like, bought at a concert. I took a picture and sent it to Kate. She's like, I want to be your friend.
That sounds like Kate.
Yeah, Kate and I have known each other for a couple of years, but we didn't know that side of each other until the show, and we basically took over.
Does that make you a child of the
Justin.
80s or 90s? I don't know what that would
Sure.
Never ask a lady her age.
be. No,
Yes.
never. The old joke on that one, the stage joke.
What's that?
Well, I'm not going to ask your age, but how much do you weigh?
Uh-huh.
Every comic does that. It's such a stock line.
Yeah.
No, they were my first concert.
Oh, okay.
1989, the Palace. We were in the back, literally the back row. I was 10 or 11, depending on when it fell in the air. I don't remember. And it was life altering. Like,
Wow.
and they're this big, but I had my my neon shorts on and my Jordan Knight T-shirt and way too much hairspray and like yeah, and
that's so
haven't
cool.
stopped for 30 some odd years.
Do you
so.
still have the neon shorts and the Jordan Knight T-shirt?
Yeah.
I think we should have a New Kids Day here.
There
I
you
will not be
go.
participating.
I
because I don't know anything
absolutely
about-
love that you think I could fit into my clothes when I was 11, but I will I will gladly show you.
I think Springsteen might have one of the best shows I've ever seen. I've seen a ton of shows over the years. But as far as like a spiritual experience, it was just like he gets everything going so good, and then you're like halfway through the show, you're just like, wow. It's like a church event or something.
Where did you see him at?
I think downtown. I
Okay.
don't recall the venue. But I've seen a lot of artists over the years. I actually owned a record store in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
A new and used
Here we-
record
here we
store.
go.
I always forget that about you. Like I don't know how many times you've told me, and then it comes rushing back. So please go.
We're talking
Yes.
music. I couldn't
Yeah.
resist.
Please.
Oh yes, please.
Oh, we had fun, especially as the place got bigger. We had in-store events. We had New Kids. We had not New Kids.
Insane.
Insane Clown Posse. We had them there.
I get them
And the
mixed up all
cops
the
were
time.
called.
I feel your pain.
It's so easy.
So
yeah.
they're so close.
They sprayed Fago on all the cars. Somebody called the
Of course they
cops.
did.
You know, it's
So
their
where
thing.
where was the store?
It was downriver, actually.
Okay.
Downriver.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, but then we used to go to this annual event where you go see all these artists. That was super cool because they would like push who's coming out the next year and all that. And then I got a chance to meet and greet. They'd have these meet and greets if you're a store owner, so you could meet a lot of the big name artists, and that was amazing.
And to be in that time in the 80s and 90s as people, in the radio world in the 80s, that's when the whole pay for play and everybody's doing blow and you're getting the record execs are just throwing money all around. So I can't imagine what sort of crazy things you were kind of coming in on the heels of in the record industry. Did you have artists that you mentioned the meet and greets, but was it just a lot of home artists, ICP with Detroit, or would you get nationals coming through to you?
Well, we mostly, as the store got bigger, we had Kid Rock in there before he got famous. He did a signing. We had, I think it was Jane's Addiction or something
Okay.
like that. And they were in there, and they played in the store. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
But we got some of that going back then. But the fun thing was going to the annual thing. Like I said, it'd be in California or somewhere. And that was pretty amazing to get the chance to meet so many. But it was pretty brief, but you got a photo with them, and that's so cool.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I won't dive too much in case it's touchy, but did you make the choice to walk away, or did the industry kind of make the choice for you?
It made the choice for me. I mean, as the CD business just boomed, that's what really
Yeah.
took it off. And then I had competition come in, Circuit City, Best Buy selling
Yeah.
their music. I saw a reduction in sales there. And then finally, when everybody was downloading the music for free,
Yeah.
and I just saw my sales going down, I said, I think it's time to get out. So I sold it, and
Yeah.
I wanted to do comedy full time anyway. So it worked out great because it was a hard time to leave that because I was like, God, this is a cool
Yeah.
job, and I'm my own boss, and so.
Yeah. That,
So I think it
that
was a
is
blessing
tough.
in disguise for it to, and nobody offered me cocaine or lots of cash like you were talking about.
That's when you said
That would've
80s
been
and
nice.
90s. I think it would have been more like the early 80s. But yeah, it really is interesting, even in just short time chunks, to think back as to how people consumed music versus how they consume it today. And it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it's a lifetime away of
Oh yeah. Well, records are making the big comeback now, and then people just download a lot.
Yeah.
But you got to
Stream.
pay for each song, don't you?
or you pay for a monthly streaming service like a Spotify or something, and so then the artist gets like 1/2 of 1% of 1 penny every time it plays.
And actually, I think the record companies are making more money that way because they don't have to manufacture anything.
Exactly. Yep.
So
Cuts
that
in.
was a couple chapters in my life.
It's very, I mean,
Good time.
that's a very cool chapter. I mean, for sure. Now, who is your favorite artist? Like, period. Do you have one?
No, I mean, I think I like the stuff that I grew up with, But there's so many great artists out there. It's so hard to.
Yeah.
Have you
Say
ever
one.
crossed the streams and like opened for a musician?
Oh my God! I opened for a Kiss band. They weren't Kiss.
Was it Mini Kiss?
It was the worst show ever. Because I'm out there doing my little jokes, and they're going, Kiss, we want Kiss. Oh, it was horrible.
Where was
they
this?
just wanted to see Kiss.
Was this like at an outdoor venue, an indoor?
That was an indoor venue. I can't remember where that was at. I know I've opened for other musical acts, but that one just stands out to me. And I was like, oh, they were just not there to see a comedian.
We
at
want
all.
Kiss.
Did
You're
you
not
paint
going
your
to see
face?
them either.
Did you paint your face?
No.
See, that's where you lost the crowd, Keith.
Almost as good as the Nudist Colony show. And all I got to say about that is a Nudist Colony show is a lot of fun as long as you don't look down.
No,
Because it's not pretty naked.
Yeah.
It's not Playboy Mansion naked.
I've heard that nudist colonies are the complete opposite of what you think.
It is. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And then they're yelling, hey, take off your clothes. I'm like, no, thank you. But it's strange to look at a husband and wife and they're sitting there naked and you're like, this is weird.
Yeah, I almost had an experience like that up north. I was in the middle of nowhere. I actually went to the Porcupine Mountains last year, and I was going like waterfall hopping, and I came across this one waterfall called Bonanza Falls, and it's like a little series of pools that go off, and I was the only one. I thought I was the only one there, and then I noticed a couple was kind of like half undressed down there, and they were like, "Oh, hi," and I'm like, "Oh shit! Like, am I interrupting something, or like?"
Or were they waiting for you?
I have no idea.
So they were just getting ready to get it on,
They were
and
getting-
you just
yes,
happened to catch a couple. It's not a
Yes.
full nudist colony.
But they were getting ready. I could tell, and I just kind of like interrupted their special moment.
So then
in
you put
nature.
away your camera at that
I
point?
did. Yes. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I
Or
was
did
like,
you turn it on?
You set up the tripod.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is you're either a boner killer,
Yes.
or a boner enhancer. At
And
that moment.
I hope I was a boner killer. I hope I was a killer.
Boner killer.
Because I was just like, oh shit.
I hope.
I'm
Because-
a boner killer.
I mean, because they did become quite friendly.
I cock
and,
blocked
like-
myself.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, they were waiting for it.
Yeah, I mean, probably another minute. If I would have came a minute or two later, I would have
So would they.
seen. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, nude people on the floor. Well, close to nude people on the floor.
I don't know how I segued into that. It just
We-
popped in my head.
That's what we do on the show. We
what
just
we
kind of
do.
go and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you about, Keith, because this always pops up in my head, about some of the crazier shows you've done, because you talked about opening for a Kiss band. Do you remember the Whitmore Lake prom show we did?
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
fun.
That was a weird
All
show.
those
though.
kids in their little tuxedos
Yeah.
and they're in their
But,
prom dresses,
that was-
and we're up there telling our dirty little jokes.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
fun.
If you recall, they tried to tell us right before, oh, like, you know, it's got to be like PG rated, and you were like, no, screw it, we're going to go up there. And I remember they said, okay, well, we'll compromise, no F-bombs. I adhered to it.
Did I not?
When you went up, you said, give it up for Justin. Wasn't he fucking funny?
Oh, did I really?
Yes, you did.
I have to watch my swearing because
I thought it was great.
I use it I like to think I use it like salt and pepper, and nobody really complains. But I do one show somewhere, and he's like, no, I don't want no F-bombs. Sometimes they tell you that.
Yeah.
And I don't think I say it, it just slips out cussing. It's
I
part of my...
But I thought it was great. I thought it was like a little dig at them, like, hey, don't...
Oh, good. That's fun.
Yes, it was a little dig at them, but how did you... Because I don't think I ever asked you, how the hell did you even get that gig?
I don't even remember.
Were we even supposed to be there?
Yeah, yeah. It was booked in advance. They wanted me for I don't know how I got that one. That's
Yeah, because you called
Met
me...
a guy at a nudist colony.
Yeah, yeah.
My big nudist hookup.
Yeah.
My couple I met on the beach.
My son's
What
graduating.
is this? Made it a little bigger.
Maybe like this, little tiny.
Another odd show I remember doing was I was doing a show up north, over on Lake Michigan area, and it's a concert area too. But it was indoor, and it had big doors that were open, so you could hear the outside. And it wasn't a great show, but in between jokes, you could literally hear crickets outside. And you know the old joke, you don't want to hear crickets? They sounded really nice. I said, crickets aren't that bad, The sound of crickets is kind of pleasant. So I'm like, whatever.
Funny.
Oh, man.
I would love to put that on an album.
Oh, I got another weird show where a penis was thrown at me. A rubber penis.
Oh, I was... Okay, okay.
Please tell.
Yes.
I was doing a show in Buffalo, New York, and I just got up there and told a couple jokes, and there was a crazy bachelorette party, and I don't know why, but they whipped one at me, and I must have had suction cups because it stuck to the wall behind me.
All the good ones do.
And it was just a crazy wild crowd, and I said, well, if this is what you guys want to do, let's have a penis throwing contest.
Oh,
I thought that, let's make fun of it,
Exactly.
whatever. Why not? Why shouldn't I be entertained?
Yeah.
So this guy got up and he started to head towards the stage to do this. Apparently the bouncers didn't know what was going on. So they tackled this guy.
Oh, no.
No, it was great. And I said, well, now I'm entertained, And whatever happened there broke the ice, and then the show went on, and it was great.
Oh, I love that he goes home. He's like, yeah, I threw my shoulder out. Oh, what happened? I was trying to compete in a rubber penis throwing contest, and I got jumped by the bouncer.
There was another
that's a
show I
story.
was doing. I was just probably doing a bad show, or weird show. I was doing a show at Newport News, Virginia, at Cosby's, wonderful club. And I think I was the middle act then. And the MC had gone up on stage, and they used to have this long bar, and you could sit at the bar, kind of wait, your turn, and they had the audience area. And me and the headliner just sitting there, drinking coffee, whatever. And the MC goes up, and just as the show's starting, this other group of 4 or 5 come in, and you could tell they're going to be a problem. They're just too much to drink, little, not whatever. So they seat them down, and then for some reason I remember hearing the waitress say, I'm not serving them. And they got... Something happened, and then the bouncer was going to kick him out. And the MC, who was more new, started picking on him, which is the worst time to pick on them because they're already in a bad space.
Yeah.
Well, the one guy got up and he picked up his glass and he went to throw it at the MC. And instead, he threw it on the table and it broke, and his glass went flying all over. And then the bouncers kicked him out, and the whole crowd went after him, and it turned into like a riot. Just insane.
Oh my
And I remember the
gosh.
club owner was over there confronting them as they're getting dragged out, and they threw a punch at the club owner, and she ducked, and they punched a waitress,
Oh!
and it just got crazy. And then they got him outside, and I guess somebody beat him up out there because an ambulance showed up.
Oh, my
was nuts.
gosh.
Are you sure this wasn't at a Waffle House?
No, it would have been good at a Waffle House, though. And then the club owner came in and looked at me and said, so you ready to do a show? And I opened the show with everybody pick up their glass and throw it on the table. And it broke the ice, and it was wonderful.
Oh,
Did it break the ice or did it break the glass? Reason number 2, I'm not getting booked right there.
They broke the
jokes.
glass. I didn't break. No, nobody picked up their glass and did it.
there was a show I did in a bowling alley. Where they were classy enough to build a plywood stage over the lanes, and so we did the show, and then the headliner goes up, and when he's up there, he opens his mouth, does his first like, "Hey, how are you?" half of a sentence, and you hear the loudest thud ever.
Whoa!
And there was an extremely large man who just went down. And it was a combination, we found out later, it was a combination of alcohol, weed, just bad meds or whatever. He was fine. It wasn't actually a heart attack, but he went out unresponsive. They're, doing the face and the smelling salts. They call 911, ambulance comes in, they pick him up, all this stuff. They get him cleaned up and out, and the booker looks at the headliner and he's like, all right, you can go ahead.
Exactly.
And he's
That's what
like,
they always do.
Yeah, it's like, how do you...
Yeah, we paid you for 45 minutes and you've done 10 seconds. So
It's always too much alcohol, too much drugs. Somebody I think I had a heckler early on, and when you're early in comedy, you're more nervous about having a heckler. And he just stood up and he fell over. Just so drunk. And it was just, oh my God, this is crazy.
But those are the best stories, though. Like, those are really
I think
the best.
so.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the fun, crazy shit that happens in the scene. I mean, because every week you hear about something going on. You're like, why wasn't I there? Mm-hmm. And you start trying to go to these spots where you know there's going to be some wild and crazy event. And it's just, they're the most entertaining. Mm-hmm. I mean, by far. I mean, you've obviously got a wealth of those stories, man. Just keep them coming. Anything else you can think of?
There's been so many crazy shows over the years. And then you have the great shows when the audience is just phenomenal. And you're like, and those are the ones for me anyways, where you feel like, this is why I do it. It feels so good. And I remember after like 9/11, I was doing shows in New York, and the audiences were so
9/11?
excited.
What
happened?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
I don't know. These Arabic guys showed up.
So like 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
7-Eleven, but they were the crowds were so grateful. Like, oh, thank you for helping us laugh. And I think the same thing happened during COVID when we started doing shows after that.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel like that, and the military shows the most made me feel like I was doing something that makes a difference or helping or something. And I
Yeah.
think that's a wonderful thing too.
Yeah. to
When you
really
get the
connect.
gratitude after a show, I'm sure you've had it, the
Yeah.
gratitude.
Did you, when bringing up COVID, did you do any virtual shows?
No, it just did not sound exciting.
Yeah. I feel most people that I've talked to have been strongly on either side. Like, yes, I loved them, couldn't get enough, or absolutely not. And I think they're both right for, whichever side. Because from my perspective, on the virtual side, it was good to still write and still talk into a microphone, but the connection was off as far as the laugh, as far as the vibe. And so that's where I fall on the people that were like, absolutely not. Because
that's what made me think I wouldn't be too crazy about it, that lack
Yeah.
of connection, the laughter, stuff like that, And I know a lot of big comics did the shows at drive-ins and all that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
said they had a similar experience too, from what I've heard.
Yeah, and talking about the show with the crickets and bringing up the drive-in, I've never done an outdoor show, but what I've heard is the way that it messes with your mind as far as the delay of sound. So you tell your joke, you say your punchline, they laugh, but it takes the extra, few milliseconds for that laugh to come to your ears. Have you ever...
How big a place are you talking about? I'm trying to...
Just like in an outdoor setting where the sound is going up instead of, coming off the ceiling or anything. So I heard about that from a drive-in perspective, or some outdoor park shows where the laughs just kind of go out into the open air, and so it's a little delayed. Have you ever experienced
I've done
that?
shows in parks. Out in Ann Arbor, there was a show and it always went really well. I never, it was enjoyable. It's not like when you're in a building where you get it more solid, I guess. But they're good, solid laughers, and they're having a good time. So it went really well. We used to do this show somewhere over in the other side of Cleveland. But it was a small venue, and he'd do them outside, and it was horrible because you got mosquitoes, and you're trying to tell jokes at the same time.
Yeah.
But it still went okay for what it was, But no, the outdoors always been fine for me that I can think of. I haven't done huge arenas outdoors, so maybe that's a little different.
Maybe that was the subset that they were talking about. Would you, when you're looking at shows that you feel, I don't know if comfortable is the word, but that's the only one that's coming to my mind. Would you say that you feel more at home in a typical club setting, or do you feel more at home in a bar show or in a more unique venue?
Well, they all have their pluses and minuses. I mean, I think the best is like if you work at one night stands up there in Waterford. I don't know if you've been up there.
Yeah.
But if you go to a club like that
I
or the
agree.
Castle where you have amazing acoustics, great sound system, those are usually the best because you get a really good laughter coming back at you. They're hearing you very clearly. Those are, I think those can be the best. But then you do a bar show, and depending on the bar, sometimes you can be looser with that audience and kind of be more gritty maybe, I don't know. So those can be a lot of fun in that sense. And then, what was the other venue we were talking? Outdoor, I guess?
Yeah, just
or,
like a more kind of one-off, whether it's an outdoor in a park or a comic book shop or I don't know, an aquarium, like places that don't, a prom, places that don't, that aren't typically known for a performance space.
those can be. I did a show. Oh my God, this is so terrible. I did a show on that site where you put in for shows, and I forget which name of the site. And someone said, "Oh, the way to get more gigs is to do a couple shows really cheap. Then you get some reviews." I said, "Cool, I'll do this high school show." And so I did the show. I got there, and I said, "Well, there's some adult content." And she's like, I think she was busy doing other things, so I kind of went, "Okay." I think I kind of might have pushed it, which I did. So I did the show. It was in an auditorium at the high school. It was their graduation party, like for a couple days.
Okay.
They're locked in or
Lock
something.
in.
Went fantastic. The kids had a blast. And I remember during the show, someone was way in the back, I could vaguely see, and they were going like this. And I think they were saying, "Keep going, this is great." But I think they might have been saying, "Stop." The kids had a blast, but I was telling it like it is for the kids. Like, this is the way life's really going to be. And I don't think that's what they wanted. And it was funny because all the comics were like, "Oh, those are the worst shows." I go, "I had a blast." I did lots of adult humor, and they loved it because it's like, this is the stuff. They already talk about that stuff anyways, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you and I went and did that prom show, they're all 18 years old. We know what we can say, and they loved it.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And they already know this
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
And they talk about. But I think in some of the communities, it's like we don't want our kids hearing this stuff yet.
Yeah, it's more the chaperones than anybody else who's going to be like a wet blanket. So.
But especially on the computers, they're getting it all now on your phone
yeah.
and TikTok. Come on.
I mean, I had this discussion just last night with someone who has two teenagers, and was kind of a mom and dad differing on what the kids should be allowed to do. And the son is 16 and a half, and he's 6'4", and he was going to go to the gas station at 11 o'clock at night to get a soda or something. And the mom was like, no, our baby can't go out. It's too late.
That's not a baby. That's a man.
And he was like, you do realize that we met when we were 16. Right? like you remember what we were doing at 16. He just wants to go get a soda at the gas station. And that level of perception is what throws people off. Like, you forget that,
that we were all bad kids at some point.
Yes.
I was just watching this show. I can't remember who was talking about how now parents can find out what their kids are up to. Just get on their Facebook or whatever it is and check what they're posting, or on TikTok. We could get away with stuff. Nobody knew what you were doing.
And we did. And we did.
Yeah, and there was no documentation after.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
A couple of mailboxes got blown up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Isn't that a federal crime?
Is it? It
Oh,
could
shit.
be.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it was in Holly and around here, but yeah, we got our hands on fireworks, and we're like, who do we not like?
Oh, yeah, the
yeah.
number of random unmarked farms that we were just hanging out at and bonfire and drunk. Like, at 16.
Yeah,
now you've got GPS on your phone. And
saran wrapping cars and,
I think most of that was pretty lighthearted.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
it wasn't anything, I mean, I've only killed 2 people, so it's not
That's
like,
not bad.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty low number.
It is.
Single
Yeah.
digits?
Absolutely.
You're doing great.
One of them was self-defense, so, technically it's
Exactly.
one.
Yeah.
But when we were kids, we were unchecked. It was great.
Yeah.
Just to have one summer again to be free. just go roam around and do whatever without work calling you or,
Yeah,
paying
that
bills.
is true.
I would love it. I would love it.
Okay, I guess we're about done then.
Sounds like Justin's about to get naked.
Yes. This is a new
I just want to be free.
I want to be free at last.
And then I'm on a list forever. Or at least 15 years, I don't know. Now, one thing I want to ask you, Keith, I asked this to all the comedians that we have on here. Who are some of your favorite local comedians in this area? And maybe even some local comedians that you want to work with who you haven't had a chance to work with yet.
Other than Alana Gonzalez. I mean, just to be fair.
Wow, I don't know if there's so many great comics that have come out of Detroit and are still performing. A lot of the newer ones I just don't know yet, and until I work with them, that'd be fun. But there's been so many people around for so long. Norm Stoltz, you talked about having on here.
Great guy.
Wonderful. Most comics are all pretty cool. Sal D'Amelio,
We had
Kate
him on
Brindle.
last. Yeah,
I worked with her.
Someone's been
Steve
watching
Iott,
the show.
he's from the West Side, but he's always
who was
fun.
that?
Steve Iott, very fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
God, there's so many of them. Bill Bouchard, of course.
Oh, yes.
Mike Jeter. There's
Yeah,
all
it's-
of them are fun to work with.
we do
I
have a
always
great
have a good.
scene.
We're like all old friends when you get
Yeah,
together. You can not see somebody for a year or two, and all of a sudden you just pick it up right where you left off. And it's kind of weird because with my girlfriend, I'm like, "What did you say?" But then you're with a comic, and you're like, "Well, hey, how did that turn out? How's your mom?"
Yeah.
That's really wonderful. I don't know. It's a weird. I remember on Last Comic Standing, I believe it was the first couple episodes. I tried to put them all in a house.
Yes.
And create controversy. And what they don't realize is comics are used to living like that. And most of us just sleep all day anyway.
Yeah, they were every scene. I do remember that because every scene they were just sitting around drinking coffee. It's like there's no drama happening here.
Right, it's like this is what we already do. You're used to living on. I'll go to my room. You go to whatever.
Yeah, and this is the nicest comedy condo that's ever existed. Is basically.
Speaking of that, I got another comedy condo story.
Yes, please.
I was working a condo in. I want to say it was Oklahoma City. Or was it Tulsa? No, it was Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And the headliner, very nice guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he said, I don't drink anymore. I'm like, okay, whatever. He goes, because when I drink, I always get in fights. I'm like, this is interesting. So the days go on through the week, and the shows are getting bad. He's having a hard time. And he starts drinking during one show. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be bad.
That's what we call foreshadowing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the night we hang out at the club, then I go back to the condo, and I'm like, I'm going to try and get some sleep. So I go to bed. It's getting kind of late. And I wake up, I don't know what time it was, 2, 3 in the morning, something, and I hear screaming outside. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're fighting. This is getting crazy. But I'm going to roll over and try to ignore it.
Of course.
And go back to
Do
sleep.
not engage.
So I might have fallen asleep, probably stayed awake. Then I hear in the house more fighting. I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is very bad. He's drunk, causing fights.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is going to be a nightmare. So I finally said, I'm going to go out there and see what's going on. So I walk out in the living room, and they're all sitting on the couch, stoned, watching a movie with violence in it. I'm like, I'm an idiot. That was the whole thing. It was a movie they were watching.
Do you recall what movie it was?
No.
Did you
but it
join
was
in?
so weird. No, I was just like, they're just, they're all passed out, most of them. Or
I don't
what's
know
the
why,
other
but he just keeps yelling, yippee
Yeah.
ki motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get
when you hear, I'm not motherfucker.
Who the fuck is Hans Gruber?
It sounds way too loud. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yippee motherfucker. I didn't recognize the movie, so Or the other time I was in a condo and you wake up at like 5 in the morning and the other comics out there doing blow with a couple people. Hey, you want some? So I didn't do blow, so. Excuse me.
To own a record store in the 80s and 90s and then be a comic and not do blow.
That is
that is commendable.
Hats off to you, Keith. That is quite a. Your willpower.
You are what we call a unicorn.
Yes.
I am a unicorn. I have tried it. No, I'll never do that again. I'd spend every penny I ever had on it. It's just so good. I don't know if you've ever. Oh, I shouldn't talk.
Honestly, that's what's kept me away. Is the feeling that I would
Yeah.
like it too much, and I'm not that rich.
Well, I don't drink. I gave up drinking years ago. That's another story in itself. So,
Yeah.
so once you cross that line, kind of start giving things up. I'm a really good quitter now. I've realized it.
Good. Good. Did you? I'm a little behind the scenes. Before we talked a lot about SodaStream and carbonated water. Were you a soda guy before, and then you quit soda and went to the bubble water, or?
No, I
okay.
think I don't know when SodaStream came out. Somewhere down the line, I just tried it or something.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, this is great because I love carbonated. We talked about before. We were talking about carbonated water, and it just gives you that like I'm drinking pop, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And you're doing something healthy.
That was the thing for me is I was, 98% Diet Coke was my bloodstream, and so I gave up soda and switched to the carbonated water. And so when you brought up quitting, I was like, oh, is that
Was it
weird?
similar for you?
Yeah.
Quitting like that, you're still getting your carbonation?
Yes, 100%. Because it was when I tried LaCroix originally, and coming right off of so much Diet Coke into LaCroix, it tasted like shit. Like it just the flavor, everything was just off. Like it was just not enough fake sweeteners, not enough of that, and that's what pushed me into the heavy carbonated plain water, because then it was just the bubbles and I didn't worry about the taste. Now I can have a LaCroix and enjoy it, but I had to kind of reset my sugar receptors on my tongue or whatever. But that is what did it. Was I was ultimately fine without the caffeine after a while, but I couldn't give up the bubbles.
But something about the carbonated water, it still has some kind of flavor, I think, for me.
I think it's a
don't know.
texture thing, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think part of it was giving up on pop because they said it was so bad for you. So I'll still drink a pop if I go out to eat or something once, so I'll get one that way.
Yeah.
I did LaCroix for a while, but they taste like a grapefruity drink, or this is like,
Yeah.
it's okay, but this worked out better, I
Yeah.
think.
Agreed.
I don't know. I can't do. I mean, it's good, but I need my pop.
It's like
Diet pop. I gotta watch my girlish figure, but yeah, I just.
you are a sexy beast.
Oh, well, thank you. What are you doing later?
I'm not gay, but if I was,
I'm liking that. I'm liking that lumberjack shirt. You want
thank you.
to chop some wood, huh?
It's my new look, yeah. I'm a lumberjack and I don't care.
That's a pretty.
All day
That's a
and
pretty
I
fancy shirt, though. I like
Well,
it.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a high end. It's so I don't know
LL
what-
Bean.
It's a designer.
Oh, it's a designer
I think
lumberjack
it's
shirt.
Majeur.
Majeur. Yes. You know, there's one of
Hold
those.
it- hold your pinky
Yeah,
up.
it's French.
Yeah,
Majeur.
Majeur. It's not Target, it's Majeur.
Well, I quit smoking years ago. Talk about being a good quitter. Are you a smoker? Have you been
I
one?
was, but I've also quit that.
And how did you quit? Cold turkey?
The first time or the second time?
Yeah, they say never quit
You're
quitting.
a double quitter.
Never quit quitting. Yeah. So short version, I went to vaping the first time.
Ah, yeah.
And then weaned myself off. Then I made a tiny human, and the first thought, as soon as he's out and safe and the drugs are wearing off, I was like, I could use a cigarette. And after maternity leave, I went back. Worst thing. But then I quit again, cold turkey. And
Is the vaping
Wow.
strong, like you're getting a smoke?
So what I did with the vaping was my big trigger was driving, and I had an hour and 10-minute commute to work each way every day. So I got the vape so I would smoke in my car. I got a new car. I didn't buy a new car to quit smoking, but it worked out. Got a new car and I didn't want to smoke in it, so I just started vaping in my car, and then it became a game almost. Like, well, how long can I go without a real cigarette?
okay.
How long can I go? And then it was, okay, it's been 2 weeks. Well, now let's see how long I can go without the vape. So it turned into like a little game of sorts, if that
Because
makes sense.
I was quit way before the vaping started. I didn't know if you like inhale that and it's like smoking a cigarette. You really feel the nicotine
the
buzz.
kind
or...
that I had was shaped like a cigarette. You would twist it, and the nicotine cartridge was the filter, and then the battery pack was where the tobacco would go, and you twist it together, and it had a little LED light, so it looked like you were smoking, and you could drag it as hard as you wanted to, I would say it was about 75% there. It wasn't that
okay.
initial like full head rush that you would get, but it would scratch the itch.
Well, when I quit, I think it was Kathleen Madigan helped me. I was working with her at the castle. What a wonderful person. And I think she was doing the Nicorette gum.
Okay.
And then I saw Tom Arnold also on a late talk show, and he was doing the Nicorette gum. And between the two, they kind of explained it to me of, you carry them on you all the time, like having because you know how it is. You got to have that carton of cigarettes or your vape pen, whatever it is. So I tried that, and it was multiple times trying to quit, and, always carry it with me if I got the urge to do that. So I felt like I was breaking the habit of the inhale and the holding thing. That's psych. But you still are addicted to the nicotine.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's true with vaping but with the gum, I knew like, hey, you're still getting your nicotine. So the rest is in your head.
Yes. Yeah, when I did the cold turkey, two things happened. One, I did not realize that nicotine is an antidepressant. Never knew that until...
Really?
Found that out the hard way 2 days in. It's okay to cry, people. And second, that because I smoked for 25-ish years, it tied in with the antidepressant anxiety side that I had forgotten how to breathe. And a friend of mine told me that, because I was really struggling with it, but it wasn't the craving, it was like this intense anxiety. And they recommended, it's going to sound silly, but just take a cylinder of paper and hold it like a cigarette.
Oh, I can see
and
that.
pretend to smoke and retrain yourself to breathe, because you got so used to when that pressure would come that you would go have a cigarette, and that's how your body...
Yeah, I think a lot of it's tricking yourself to slowly get off of it.
My dad actually quit smoking because he got laser surgery. They actually have a laser surgery. Because you mentioned kind of going up like this.
Right.
They do something that like dulls the sensation for you to want to keep bringing something.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it worked for him. He smoked for 40-something years, and then he quit, and his lungs are great, surprisingly. And I'm like,
Great.
Well, with the Nicorette, you could go from the 4 milligram to the 2, so you kind of wean yourself. And I just did, and then you could go to like a regular gum, so you're still getting some kind of gum, and then eventually just give it all up. And it seemed to work, but I had to do it a lot of, you know. I can't think of the comic's name. A friend of mine got a great joke about this, smoking. How I don't know if it ties into the antidepressant, but he'd be like, it's a great thing, because he'd be like, I'm going to kill that son of... Okay, anyway. Something about that would like help. Okay.
Yep.
A cigarette would help. How many lives does it save? Someone having a cigarette.
That's a funny premise. Secondhand smoke kills how many people, but how many has it saved?
Oh, I never thought about it that way.
How many
That's
murders
true.
has a cigarette prevented? Yeah, wow.
How many murders has a cigarette smoker
There's got to be
prevented from happening?
Got to be a metric out there on that.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
I think I could do that, Joe.
The big tobacco companies might want to hear this.
I like that idea.
I think that's $1 million idea. Cigarettes. They give you lung cancer, but they prevent murder. Go right on the box.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it. Yeah. And her carbonated $1 million idea.
Yes. We're going straight to the fucking moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No more.
I'd like to pitch you an idea. Or
Yeah.
Hello, sharks.
Yeah.
Hello, sharks.
One thing I wanted to ask you too is you have had the chance to work with Jim Gaffigan, haven't you?
One time I worked with Jim, yeah.
What was that like?
It was at Go Bananas in Cincinnati, and they brought me in to close the show on the Wednesday and Thursday show. And then Jim was coming in for the weekend, so I thought I was going to feature, but they bumped me down to a opening act. And Jim came in, and I didn't know who he was at the time. The line was out the door. It was huge. It was unbelievable. And he was had the Hot Pockets bit was exploding. And wow, did he pack them in. And the other comic, I met him in the back briefly, and it was all great. He was a really nice guy, so it was all good. A friend of mine knows him pretty well in New York.
Nice.
Comic. He just did a show with him. He was posting pictures on, he was on his TV. Gaffigan did like a family show or something for a little while. I think my friend was on a couple of the episodes, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What other big names have you had the chance to work with or at least encounter?
Oh my God, I met Well, the biggest one I ever met was George Carlin. It was real brief.
Wow.
Back in the day, I used to, a couple times early in comedy, I decided to go to the HBO Comedy Festival, which was in Aspen. It was a very big deal. And I wasn't going there to perform. I just paid, like, you know, and went to see the shows. And I thought, well, if I'm going to get into comedy, I should kind of see what this is about a little bit more. And George Carlin is coming in just to check in. They had like a check-in area. And nobody was down there but me and him or maybe a couple other people working. I'm like, oh my God, here's my chance to meet George Carlin. And I just went up to him. I said, you know, I'm a big fan. I'm a newer comic. And he goes, I'd love to talk. I got to go, but this is the greatest fucking job in the world.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because he's like the Babe Ruth of comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next day they were doing like a interview TV show, something or another with a bunch of big name comics. And I saw him coming back down the hallway afterwards. I'm like, oh, what can I say to him to start a comedy? And I go, oh, I got a word bit. Maybe that'll go somewhere. So I go up to him and I said, you know, I got ready to ask him about this word joke that I do. And he's like, didn't I meet you yesterday? And I was speechless.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've never been speechless. And I
Yeah.
was just like, oh my God, it's amazing. George Carlin just remembered me. And it was just so fantastic.
That's great.
That is an amazing story.
That's been the thing for me is I got started in this much later, so I have years and years of fandom built in. And it's only been about 5 years since I've been actually performing, and my brain hasn't caught up to the fact that in a lot of ways we have the same job. And but it's still a bit of a rock star kind of thing, and on every level. Like I a few years ago I reached out to Jackie Cation when she was coming to town, and started a communication. I'm not going to say a friendship or anything much stronger, but started a communication, and we met, and surprise, surprise, she's a human being who does comedy. It's amazing. But I was very much like,
Yes.
and it's fascinating that when you really break it down, not saying I'm at any other level or anybody else is, but when you really break it down on a day-to-day basis, if you write a joke and you go up and you perform it for the very first time, everybody's on the same.
Oh, absolutely, and everybody's human, you know.
Exactly.
You know, I think my dad used to say, you know, everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
And I thought later on, well, but if you got money, you could have somebody help you with it. But yeah, I remember working with Caroline Ray. I was the MC, and you know, and I didn't know who she was all that well. Found out pretty quickly, and she needed. The first day she wouldn't put up with the hotel that he put her in. So she wanted to fly to Chicago. She was dating somebody or something. I don't remember. And so she ended up, I go, well, the closest probably if you got a hotel near the airport, you could fly back and forth very easily. I live near the airport, so I could give you a ride. So it was quite a long ride. And I think she kind of wanted to be left alone more, but I was still new with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But the exciting part was as we got close to the club, she said, oh, you want to stop and get an ice cream? I'm like, sure. So we stopped at like a Dairy Queen. And we walked in, and I was like, oh my God, it's Caroline Ray. These people are... I'm like, wow, is that cool? That sense of how well known she was. And that was really neat. The other one was working with Kathleen Madigan 2 or 3 times at the cast, so I was lucky enough to work with her. And I was always kind of starstruck by her because she's such an amazing comic.
She really is.
Every year, it's like a whole new show. And I always was torn between being, yeah, we're the same, but oh my God, you're Kathleen Madigan, you're so great. So it was really hard. It was nerve-wracking to be around her, but also very enjoyable. And she gave me a lot of good advice on doing comedy and all that.
That's fantastic.
So she was great. But I know what you mean about that starstruckness. It's like awkward, and yet you know you're the same at the same time. And most everybody's down to earth. I think, I watched Netflix last night, this Nancy Pelosi thing. And I think people start thinking this thing of these people, Republican, Democrat, and they're like, oh, they're like in a secret cult or who knows what. And then you watch a series on somebody and you're like, oh, they got to get kitchen towels and they got to do this. And they're just trying to go through their life like everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I said, we're just all human. We all pay the same, well, maybe not the same price, but we pay bills. We have to get up in the morning and,
I love watching that comics in cars getting coffee.
Oh, with Seinfeld?
Doesn't it feel down to earth, like you're just hanging with them? I love those with the comedians. There's nothing like comics just hanging out.
Yeah.
That's why it's fun. A lot of people don't want to stay in condos when there's 2 or 3 comics, but it can be a lot of fun because you get to have these conversations you don't normally have, like we're having.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of comedians would agree that one of the most, or some of the best parts of actually doing shows are the hangout afterwards.
Oh, for
or
sure.
before, like a show goes from like 9 to 11. You're there till 2:30 in the morning just hanging out, getting beer, and just like that's so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when this podcast was out of Broken Knuckle Studios, we would end at like, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night. I'd be there till like 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I have a job, guys. I have to work tomorrow, but you just start talking about all this stuff. I mean, when Justin Pettick and Alex Bostanovich were here, we hung out for like 3 more hours just talking about, ironically enough, more ICP stories and, just all the fun things that we go through. And it's just, like you said, we connect on that human level, and I think it makes you respect and understand more what someone's going through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did 51st jokes the other day in Ann Arbor, and that's 50 comics doing their first joke of the year, and it was the same thing. Getting in a room with 50 plus comics, and it helps you remember that comedy at the end of the day is words. And,
Yes.
They might not be the most personable or outgoing, because that's a line that some people cross, but they have things to say.
Yeah.
And you just get there and start talking.
And some of the best stories that you hear come from these little personal conversations, and I mean, it's always a blast. Or even just going on road trips. Like you and I, we drove out to Chicago. We drove to West Lorne, Ontario.
That was fun.
That was a fun show.
Real nice. I enjoy the conversation. I got a great quote on my wall I love by Jerry Seinfeld. He says, comics are like prostitutes and cops. We're most comfortable amongst ourselves.
Yeah. That is.
There's too much truth in it.
That is an amazing quote. We need to get some quotes on the wall back here.
Yeah.
But I think we should do the quotes of people that we've had on the show. I just have to go back and watch the episodes because nobody else is.
Can we put that quote up, but assign it to Keith?
Yes, we can.
As references Jerry.
Oh, you want to do
Seinfeld?
that one?
Well, technically he said it.
Exactly.
So
that's what I'm
technically
saying.
he said it. So
As quoted.
What's
Yeah.
the other one? I was thinking earlier, I had a conversation. It was like about comics. There's a comic, he has to go to court, and he's a witness, and they put him up in the stand. They go, oh, yeah, we understand that you were a comedian at the comedy club. You were the middle act at the show. He goes, yeah, but I do headline. And it's such a comic thing to say, But I'm also a headliner.
That's my favorite. Or like the one that always gets me is somebody comes up after a show and compliments a performer, like, oh, I saw the show tonight, you were great, like you see him at the bar or whatever, and the first response is always, were you at the early show or the late show? Like, they want to know.
There's a joke about that too, like the joke is the 2 comics are walking in the mall the next day after the show, and a beautiful woman comes up, I saw your show last night, you were hilarious, I'd like to sleep with you, whatever, and they always go, well, which show?
Right, yeah, exactly. I love it.
oh man.
What's the other I love comic jokes. Comics. What's the other one? The MC on a first date. Have you ever heard this one? And a date's going fantastic, wonderful. That's why he says, would you mind stopping at the house, maybe meeting my folks? She says, oh, no problem, sure. So they go up and they pull up to the house and they start walking up the stairs. They get to the front door. And the MC turns around, looks at her, and goes, so what do you want me to say about you?
I feel that one so hard because I'm singing at my shows and I'm always like, hey, what do you want me to say about you?
It's a great joke.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh my God, that's
I think that's the laugh we go out on. That's so
yes, that was an amazing way to cap this episode. Oh my God, Keith, this has been an absolute blast.
Thanks for having me. You guys are great.
Oh, I mean, no, she's great. I'm just, I'm here. Filling
no,
space,
no.
but
yes, but
yeah, I gotta keep the seat warm, okay?
Well, once you get into your soda stream, we'll be closer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not in that club. I'm not in that club yet.
The soda stream club.
Yes. Oh, but so you, before we go ahead and get out of here, you actually have a new website. You want to kind of plug that or any upcoming shows? Or
if you go to keithlenart.com, just go. I got a great new website, so check it out.
Fancy.
My friend built it. It looks fantastic. I'm very happy with it.
That's exciting.
So check that out. And I put dates on there. I got a lot of shows coming up. Let's see. The Bahamas, I'll be there in March, the last 2 weeks. Looking forward to that. Otherwise, I think I've got some shows in Ohio. Nothing that I want to plug off the top of my head that I can think of, but a lot of great shows.
Yeah,
the websites are on there.
Well,
Fantastic.
I hope to one day be as busy in comedy as you are.
Oh, yeah, you're great. Don't worry.
I try.
You're doing fantastic. Look at you, Mr. Podcast King.
Well, I'm
Or
not.
Show King. I don't know what to call it.
I'm just a peasant, but.
You gotta get the shirt. You gotta get the
Absolutely,
shirt.
yes. I need the fancy lumberjack shirt.
You someday you'll get that.
You know what? I have one upstairs, but it's not as cool as yours. So.
Oh no,
keep
no,
it-
you're there.
We'll
You're
keep it on the
way.
hanger. Elena, what do you have coming up in the next couple of weeks, months?
I don't have a cool website, but I need to get a cool website. I think I'm gonna ask Keith about his friend. But all of my dates for the next 2 months are posted on the socials. So check me out on Instagram at Gonzaleza, Gonzaleeza, or Facebook, Elena Gonzalez. I don't know if this will be posted before, but I'm going to assume yes. You can come check us out, and by us, I mean me and the bean behind the scenes. We're gonna be hanging out in Traverse City, doing some shows up at the Traverse City Comedy Fest. So
TCCF, baby.
TCCCCF. But also with Norm is going to be up there. I know Bob Phillips is going to be up there. I'm trying to think who else. Bill's going to
Ismo,
be up
very
there.
good friend of mine from Finnish comedian, very funny Ismo. I've worked with him.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, watch his show.
Okay. And Maria Bamford, Jackie Cation, Tom Papa. Maybe you've heard of them. But yeah, it's gonna be fun times.
That's going to be an awesome time. Even though this will air afterwards, I'm still going to say it. In 6 days, I will be at Bearded Lamb Brewing Company emceeing with Kate Brindle featuring and Cam. Big Fella Roll will be the headliner. After that, February 4th, Rusted Crow, Dearborn Heights. I'll be your MC with Jim Elliott, Vivian Burgett, and Timothy Locke. Then, February 11th, back at Bearded Lamb Brewing Company, special guest MC Mary Spencer with Ella Horwedel as your feature and Carl Johnson as the headliner. And I'm still booking, well, not really booking, but I'm waiting for some final words for my March show, so that's what I've got going on.
Nice.
May have a third room coming up. Fingers crossed, arms crossed, we'll see. Now, before we get out of here, please make sure that you stay tuned for a very special segment we have coming up. This could potentially be the last time you see my face in one piece. What does that mean? Stay tuned to find out. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our first ever Sitting Down with Stand-Ups special exclusive. Now, you know here on the show, we normally eat pretty good. We have prosciutto rolls, we have cookies, but today we are going to be eating something a little bit different. I am here with my good friend Skippy, and what are we going to be eating today?
We're gonna be eating fire.
Fire!
Yeah.
How lovely.
We're
Now,
gonna burn some calories.
absolutely, and possibly our eyebrows as well. Now, I gotta ask, Skippy, is this like something where you went to Taco Bell one time and the fire sauce wasn't hot enough and you said, screw it, I'm doing the real thing?
So you know how most cool things in your life, you did them because you had blind faith in somebody that told
Yes.
you to do it? Similar scenario.
Yes.
So I saw one girl, she's like, well, just don't breathe. Yeah, so yeah, let me give you the spiel, I guess. So, you know how when you swim underwater, right?
Yes.
If you were to inhale water, that would be bad.
Yes, exactly. That's called drowning.
Right, correct. Same principle here. Do not inhale.
Do
Whatever
not
you
inhale.
do, don't inhale.
Okay.
So.
Do not inhale. Yes.
Appreciate it, Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, for those who are watching at home who may be a little conscious of their weight, is fire keto? Is this like a healthy thing that we should be eating?
Oh,
or
this is not healthy at all.
it's not healthy, no. Does, like, are there different flavors of fire, like Cool Ranch, nacho cheese?
There's only extra spicy.
Oh,
It's
okay.
weird. Yeah.
Well, I do love spicy food, so. Now I gotta say, this is probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard about somebody doing. So I am super enthralled to see it. So I'll tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and demonstrate for us really quick how we even get started doing this?
Okay. So I'll just do an easy demonstration.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
do some fancy stuff later.
Ignore all my garbage over here. That's just.
So
Okay.
Excuse me, I'm gonna go where you go.
Gotcha. Wow. Oh my God. That
I should have
was
done
so-
some more explaining.
I mean, let me show you how to do it.
You literally just ate fire,
Yeah.
and there's no pain.
So I'll do it a little slower this time, and like because I feel like I'm being
Oh
very
my God.
under instructive right now. All right, so
Wow.
first off, you just make sure there's no splatter that's gonna go anywhere, right? You light it up. Now, what's gonna burn you is this actually right here. So if you leave the fire too long, that's what actually burns you the majority of the time. So I can see that there's not wind; it's going straight up, so it's not gonna go up my face. Turn it up. I do like a little.
Shit, that was on her lip, and there's no pain.
No, it's the same. It's a pretty easy principle. Like I'll even show you here. So I'll do a bit of fancy stuff. So
That flame's fresh.
Yeah. Is it organic?
this is I don't smoke cigarettes, so this is my
That's,
carcinogen.
yeah. She's not gonna get lung cancer, but she's gonna have facial reconstructive surgery when it goes wrong one day.
So just as a
Such a positive outlook, Justin.
Yeah.
so yeah.
Okay, this is literally the coolest thing that's ever happened at this house, and I have had 2 bachelor parties here. This is the coolest thing I've
Should have
seen.
hired me.
It sounds like, hey, more of my friends that need to get married, we got the entertainment right here.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta this is a random question. Who is your favorite Marvel superhero?
Marvel?
Yeah.
Is Tank Girl Marvel? No, it's
No, that's-
I always know like other ones. I don't
Gotcha.
know.
There's a Human Torch joke in there, but we won't.
So I'm a big Venture Brothers fan. So when I used to say Human Torch, I think
You
of the guy
are a
that
fan of the Venture Brothers? Dude, you're talking to the guy right now.
right. So the Human
Yeah.
Torch, he's like in the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's actually on fire. That's
Yes.
the whole thing. So they have to keep him sealed.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Richard Impossible.
Richard.
Oh my God.
That's sad.
Best character on that show, in your opinion?
You're Sergeant Matron.
Yes,
It's not
yes.
very PC.
Well, let me tell you about the bees and the birds, Hank. Some birds like other bees, and some bees like other birds, and some birds like eggs, because you're so delicate. I love that show, yes. You do know that they're making a movie, right?
What?
They're making a movie to tie, because it got canceled.
Oh, like yeah.
Well, they're making a movie.
They're making a movie. Is it fan funded? Like this is like a Firefly
No,
situation?
HBO Max bought it, and they're going to make a movie to tie up all the ends, so...
Thank God.
Yeah, so anyway, we're getting off track, but yes, I love the Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
Anywho,
This is a Venture Brothers
Yes.
podcast.
Ventures. I am going to attempt to be adventurous myself, and I am going to attempt this. So, Alana, you might want to start thinking about who's going to be the new co-host of the podcast, because...
Get ready, Keith.
Keith, get ready. Keep that seat warm, so okay.
Yeah, so
Got standing up with
the main
Burn
thing
them.
is just sitting around. It doesn't have air. It can't
Okay.
get the flame. So,
So
seal
again-
your lips around it.
Okay, so now,
Just seal your
just
lips
put it in
as well.
and seal my lips.
Alright, I'll do it when it's not on fire so you
Okay.
can kind of see.
Okay, so am I exhaling, inhaling?
You. What did I just tell you?
Okay.
No,
Do not inhale.
I'm gonna fuck this up right now.
Okay. Do not inhale.
Do not inhale.
Okay, do
This is
I...
the opposite of smoking pot.
Yes.
Yes, do not inhale.
Do I spit or swallow?
Neither. You
Okay.
will keep your mouth neutral at all
Okay.
times. Do not breathe.
Do not...
Do not breathe.
So I
You
put
a
it in
girl like
there.
that a long
Okay,
time
it's a
ago.
lot. It's a lot like giving a blowjob. Okay, so
Okay.
relax
To a
yourself.
Mormon, it was
Yes.
Don't think about it too
Okay,
much.
I've never given a blowjob, so Daryl or Keith, I may need you guys.
Come on
to-
over here.
Okay, let's
Let's practice on something a little less
Right?
No, but yes, let's do it. So I'm just gonna put it in and close my mouth.
Yep.
Don't set your head on fire.
Yep. Heads up.
Okay,
Heads
holy
up,
shit.
little baby bird.
And just put it in
Yep.
quickly
Yes.
Just
and
the
see-
tip.
and put your mouth around it.
and blow out. Do not.
Don't blow. Just
Okay.
don't breathe. Just
Okay, just go. Oh my god! Holy shit! I just ate fire.
yes, you did.
Bravo.
I
See, it wasn't that bad.
I
That's
shit
dope.
my pants. That was so. Oh my
It's
god,
still
that was so
smoking.
cool! Wow!
Oh yeah.
Oh, I cannot believe I just did that.
Yep.
I was like, okay, this is
did
it. It's an ultimate prank. I'm gonna die.
Told you.
Wow.
See, that's the difference between circus and comedy. Everybody thinks they can't do this. Secret is everybody can.
Yes, and everyone thinks
Comedy is the other way around. Everybody thinks they can do
Whoa,
it.
Good point.
honestly,
That's
okay.
a really great premise.
That is amazing. I cannot believe I just did that. Please tell me that the camera
I
is
think I've
rolling.
got a new closure bit.
oh jeez.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I think I've got to do it again. Did you want to do
Yeah.
it at the same time?
Yeah, that'd
Yes.
be cute. That's a nice little,
Oh
little
my
shot for
God.
us.
Okay, how nervous were you guys? Because I was like,
I was a little bit nervous because I'm like, then I'm going to be completely blacklisted. Like, you killed Justin.
Justin is dead. No, it doesn't hurt at all.
Is that kerosene?
Let's be This is white gas. So it's what you use
Whoa.
in camping stoves.
Oh, okay.
And you use this because it evaporates really quickly, so if you spill it, not a big deal, and also it has a really low flame point. This is not comedic, I guess. I'm just being fun.
But still, I mean, that was like so cool. I mean, like,
Yeah.
wow, I was.
I'll do like
Okay.
We'll do
So
like
do you
a
want-
level thing?
Yeah,
I'll do
so.
like
Okay, let me go ahead and just. Okay, ready?
She's more dramatic.
I'm still on the spot, okay? On the
Ready?
count of three, go. 1, 2, 3.
I did a candle, sorry.
I mean, still, that's so cool.
Damn.
I think I'm developing a taste for fire now. Hell yeah.
There we go.
Okay, see, this is why we have cool people on the podcast. Cool people like Skippy here, who have these amazing skills. That is so cool. Do you want to do some fun little tricks before we,
I did bring
stand-ups.
yeah, sitting down with stand-ups.
I did bring my
Standing
poi.
up, stand up, yes.
I did bring my poi, but
Your poi?
yeah.
What is, I don't know what a poi is.
You get addicted to it a little bit.
Okay, so like everybody always says that Louis Michael would kick everybody's ass in the comedy scene.
Yeah.
He's not taking this down right here. You are now officially the most dangerous comedian out there, and I love it.
Tell your friends.
I will.
No one's gonna follow my car now.
Listen, I mean, to have in your back pocket, like if you're ever up on stage and you're bombing, just whip these out. And,
Everybody always asks me, they're like, oh, when are you gonna do this and that? And I'm like, well, I can like maybe tell jokes while I do this, but that's about it. Like,
you can try it now.
so, alright. Look, is there anything that can possibly, well, so, before I go on dates, I usually get really violently high. And when I'm high, I'm lazy, right? Mm-hmm. So if he ever manages to actually go home with me, I like really want to take a nap usually. And like, so what I tell them is that I like to be tied up. And because the whole thing about bondage is that there's little to no expectation that there's any movement involved whatsoever. And so I just end up there looking like a fly on sticky paper, like, I wish I could participate. So they go home and they're like, I got the freak, and I'll be like, I got a nap.
Bravo.
It's very exhausting.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an absolute treat. Skippy,
Thank you.
the fire eater, and the fire putter outer. Oh, apparently not.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
This has been incredibly amazing. So much fun. I can't believe I ate fire.
And where can we find Skippy?
Yes.
Yes, you
Plug.
You can find me on Skippery Doodah on Instagram. That's 2 P's. Skippery Doodah. And
Because that was the part that's hard to spell.
yes, that was the. I also have Elf on the Shelf calendars available for $10. I'm not making a profit, so if you guys are in need of holiday calendars, you can check me out there. I'll be doing Mark Ridley's. They're doing Wednesdays or Thursdays. I'll be doing Mark Ridley's.
Eventually.
Yeah.
At some point.
A few other things, but I'm going to have the whole lineup posted on my Instagram at Skippery Doodah. So,
Skippy, thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute pleasure.
yeah, thank you.
And I didn't die. I'm very happy.
I didn't die.
Yes.
Woo!